What's up guys, it's me, Straw Hat Nate, and I'm back this week with a new One Piece video. Here we have chapter 1120 of One Piece titled Atlas. So, you must know the rules by now. Whenever a character is in the title of a chapter, that means that it's probably going to be their last chapter alive, and it's true once again. Atlas plays a pivotal role in this chapter to help the Straw Hats in their attempt to get off of Egghead Island, which might actually happen soon enough now. Besides the Straw Hat escape situation up in the lab, there's also the major battle including Emeth, the Iron Giant, and the Gorosei still raging on down below. But the chapter is not just straight action, because there is also a quite important scene involving Dr. Vegapunk and Clover, which happened many years ago. So if you want to know what these two geniuses discussed in their little meetup, wait till I cover it in this video. Now, let's get into the chapter after you like the video and subscribe to the channel. The cover this week continues with the Yamato cover series, and we're still in the Kibi region. We find out now that Denjiro is now the daimyo of the Kibi region, so he helps Yamato out in dealing with those pesky little kids who were messing with her last time. Now, to begin the actual chapter, we travel back in time to Punk Hazard 26 years ago, when it was still Vegapunk's main research center and it was still like a jungle. As mentioned before, Vegapunk is being visited by Clover, the researcher from Ohara that taught Nico Robin what she knows today about poneglyphs. Clover is practically begging Vegapunk to join his Void Century research because he knows how much of a genius Dr. Vegapunk is, and he could be a help to their cause. But Vegapunk refuses. He explains that the focus of his research is the future and not the past. But the real reason for his refusal is that he knows that he's part of the world government now and can't get caught looking into the Void Century. The government will try their hardest to catch anyone who even looks into the Void Century, which is shown present day on Egghead Island. Now, Clover explains that he knew someone with the D in his name, his big brother, and this shocks Vegapunk. His brother died at the hands of the world government for just having the D as his middle initial, which is why Clover hides his own name. Clover reveals here that his full name is Clown D. Clover, but he had to keep that a secret from the world government when they killed his brother just to protect himself. So it's really unfortunate that he had to lie to the government when his brother got killed, and it enrages him today still. Vegapunk can understand Clover's anger here, but he decides still that he shouldn't get involved with this research. Then we jump to 22 years ago, the year that Ohara actually got Buster called, and Vegapunk learns the news while in Punk Hazard with his partner, Caesar Clown, and Caesar laughs at the death of Clover and the rest of Ohara, but Vegapunk remembers his friend, now debating whether to continue his research or not because that's what Clover wished for. He even goes to the ruins of Ohara where the books are resting in the lake, and he cries at the loss of his friend Clover. His connection to Clover eventually led him to start researching the Void Century closer to the present. Enough of the past though, because now we cut to a couple of reactions to Vegapunk's messages in the present day. We see Zeph in Baratier, we see the guards of Tequila Wolf, and we see Nico Robin herself, who is still injured in the Sunny. Outside of the Sunny, chaos is still ensuing because the Straw Hats had to fight off Nesjuro in order to fly off, and Zoro screams for them to blast off, but Lilith says that they must get rid of Nesjuro first. Then, thankfully, Atlas in her giant form comes in out of nowhere to smash Nesjuro into the ground. Before he's able to get back up, Atlas swiftly grabs onto Lilith and snaps out her chip that connects her to Punk Records. This action makes York, the last remaining Vegapunk other than them, think that Lilith is dead, which will allow Lilith to escape under the radar. In an epic panel, Atlas tells the Straw Hats that she leaves Lilith to them before she goes off to fight Nesjuro, sacrificing herself. Jinbei takes this as an indication to blast off, taking a captain-like role. And then under the deck, Brook activates Coup de Burst to send them off into the clouds. Meanwhile, Atlas fights Nesjuro in the background, and she even gets her arm cut off, but she still keeps on fighting for the Straw Hats. Then, she decides to do the ultimate sacrifice and self-destruct herself, boosting the Straw Hat ship even farther on course to the water and taking out Nesjuro for a good while in the process, so her sacrifice won't go unnoticed. Meanwhile, on the coast, the fight is still happening between Emeth and the Gorosei. The Vice Admirals are confused as hell, but the Giants and Luffy are ecstatic at the arrival of their robot companion. Emeth says to Luffy that he's happy to see Joy Boy once again and to fight with him again. And then Luffy is just amazed by the fact that Emeth can talk to him. Luffy tells the Giants that Emeth called him Joy Boy because Luffy isn't familiar with that name yet, but the Giants reveal that they didn't even hear the robot talk. So this proves that Emeth was talking via the mind's voice, just like how Zunisha does. The Gorosei at the same time are getting real mad because Vegapunk's broadcast is still running. Jupiter is the first to attack in his worm form, going straight for Emeth. He responds by preparing to fire something from his cannon, but it fails because he's just so rusty after 900 years. This failure causes Jupiter to be able to bite off a huge chunk of Emeth's arm and upper body, so maybe things aren't all that good for the good guys here. Then, Saint Saturn jumps off Jupiter to land on the bow of the Elbaf ship where all the Giants are, so they're gonna have to deal with him now too. We even see Kuma and Bonnie react to Saturn's arrival because of their connection to Saturn that we learned about in Kuma's flashback. Sanji, who is also on this boat, looks up into the sky now to see the Sunny flying through the air. The Sunny looks like it's gonna make it to the water thanks to the sacrifice from Atlas earlier. And speaking of this sacrifice, we also see York here celebrating since she thinks now that all the rest of the Vegapunks are dead besides her, when in reality Lilith is still alive with the Straw Hats. The Gorosei say that they still have another thing to deal with, and that's getting rid of Vegapunk's broadcast, even though it's literally wrapping up now and Vegapunk has said pretty much all that he needed to say. On the broadcast, he's still talking about Goldie Roger and how they learned the secrets of the world at Laugh-Tale. We also see some prisoners at Impel Down here as they learn of Gold Roger's true name, Goldie Roger. And I imagine that this reaction is probably the same around the world, since nobody knew that Goldie Roger had the D in its name. Even though the end of the chapter is kinda a big mess, there's still another thing that we need to talk about, and that's Emeth. He says that the time that Joy Boy spoke of is now, and it's time to use it. So I believe that he's preparing to self-destruct. If Emeth's sacrifice is here, most of the Gorosei will be dealt with, allowing the good guys to escape. So it might be a good choice to make in order to end this arc. So that's where the chapter ends though. I'll be honest that this chapter was kind of messy to cover, but it included a lot of hype moments anyway, so I'm happy covering it. It was cool to see Oda flesh out Clover and his relationship to Dr. Vegapunk more in this chapter because he is important in inspiring Vegapunk to research all of the Void Century, which he's telling the world all about now. It was also great to see Atlas's sacrifice for the Straw Hats because now they have a clear path to escaping. And Lilith is now officially off the radar, so she is good to travel to Elbaf with the Straw Hats. It was also amazing to see more of Emeth holding off the Gorosei, protecting Luffy and the Giants, and he's proven to be a great ally to Luffy. We'll see if Emeth actually self-destructs like I think he will in the next chapter, which we are thankfully getting next week since there's no break. So if you made it to the end of this chapter review, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe to show your support, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.